In 2008, California rock band Weezer released their third self-titled album, The Red Album. Track 3 of that record is a nostalgic journey down a music-filled memory lane of the upbringing and formative years of frontman Rivers Cuomo in a ballad called Heart Songs. The lyrics culminate in his own experience of turning all of the musical influences of his life into his own opportunity to write, record, and perform music that went on to impact and inspire others. This podcast, similarly, traces the impact of music as it has highlighted and even inspired the life experiences of its guests. My name is Adam Blaylock. Welcome to Heart Songs, the podcast. This week on Heart Songs, the podcast, we have a devoted family man, a talented musician, and one of the most profound fans of music I've ever met in my life. Please enjoy my friend, Jeremy Burgett.
Gordon Lightfoot sang a song about a boat that sank in the lake at the break of the morning. A cat named Steve.
All right, the first question was a song from my childhood that has still stuck with me. And for the answer, I'm going with the Muppet Show theme song.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight. It's time to put on the...
As a kid in the 80s, I was only allowed to watch certain things on television. And one thing that almost all those TV shows I watched had in common were great theme songs. It was some of my first iteration into music. It was some of my first ideas of like how I was going to write songs later when I grew up. I didn't know it then, but I realize how much it influences me now. But you know, shows like The Munsters, The Addams Family, the Batman theme song, Chips, Gilligan's Island, Knight Rider, Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, they all had great theme songs that they were just short. They were very catchy. They grabbed your attention instantly. And no matter where you were in the house, you knew exactly what show was on. And it was just something about that has stuck with me from my childhood. However, the reason I picked the Muppet Show theme song is because the Muppets stick with me still to this day. It is one of my greatest joys in the world watching the Muppet Show. I still watch the Muppet Show today. And they just had probably the most killer theme song for a TV show. And, I grew up watching Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers and stuff like that too. And the puppets, the idea of having puppets interacting with people was just kind of cool to me when I was a kid. And still to this day, when I get really nervous or anxious, I hum the Muppet theme in my head. Like recently I had to go to Hawaii, and both times I got on the plane, the wait before we got on the plane, I was humming that song, and my daughter kept looking at me like I was crazy. But it does help me. It soothes me a little bit, and it is one of my greatest heart songs. I always kind of live by the line the line in the season 5 version of the song where Waldorf and Stadler are kind of cut in the middle, and they always go, "Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know." It's like some kind of torture to have to watch the show, and that always sticks with me to this day.
These are the songs I keep singing. Quiet Riot got me started with the banging of my head. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Slayer.
All right, the second question was about something I discovered that kind of defined the music I would love and listen to for the rest of my life. This is a really tough question for me because I love all types of music. I will listen to anything I can get my hands on. Even back then in my late childhood into my early teens, I was listening to anything my parents had on. That was basically anything from the 60s, 50s, 70s, all the way in even into the 80s when I was growing up. You name it, I probably had my hands on it then. Eventually I started kind of getting into rock and roll a little bit more than pop. Especially being from the 80s, so much of the music was either like synth pop driven, or it was like, as I hate to say the term, hair metal bands. But I was listening to stuff like Aerosmith, Motley Crue, Corey Hart's Sunglasses at Night. It was a big one that I remember pre-teens and all that. But I was definitely into rock. I definitely liked guitar-driven rock and roll a little bit. And then, grunge kind of dropped a bomb on everything, which was a big, big thing for me. But there was something that really kind of turned the corner for me as to the one genre of music, if I had to put a thumbtack in it, that got me into a style of music called punk rock. And that particular song is a song by Green Day called Who Wrote Holden Caulfield. It was off their album Kerplunk. I heard it when I was probably about 12 or 13 years old. This is pre-Dookie, pre-angsty, Dookie Green Day. And this song resonates still with me to this day as the one that got me to kind of want to pick up a guitar and write songs. The song itself is a take on and written about J.D. Salinger's book, The Catcher in the Rye. And it's about the character Holden Caulfield. And it basically kind of talks about, alienation, boredom, not applying yourself to anything, coming up with brilliant ideas and then forgetting them immediately because you didn't write them down, or, not understanding how your social circles weren't working out so well because of bad choices you made, or because you didn't take the time to be friends with people, or you just didn't know how to be friends because you kind of self-isolated all the time. That song just got me like really excited about music in a different way. From the chuggy guitars to the opening line of, a thought burst in my head and I need to tell you, just it captures you right away. And it was also kind of a new awakening for me to realize, like Nirvana kind of did in a way, you didn't have to be really talented like Eddie Van Halen, on the guitar. I mean, I was listening to, so many guitar players that are still some of my heroes, but this kind of showed me that you could tell a story in a song, and have it be loud and obnoxious, but also have like meaning, like kind of an introspective thought on it. And it was a song about a book, and I've been known to write songs about a book or two here or there. So it really, really influenced me quite a bit. And it's still probably the song that, turned the point for me to get into like NoFX, The Offspring, Bad Religion, Social D. I could go on and on. Those are just the ones off the top of my head right now. But, as I've gotten older, I've tried to change my style of music songwriting wise and try to branch out and try different things and do different things. But I always come back to what I would call home for me in music. And that's put on a punk record for me. And I feel at home. It doesn't have to be any particular band. There's a show here on Sunday nights called Go Punk Yourself, on KPD. And I will spend the 2 hours with that in my headphones, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm making dinner or just cleaning around the house at night on Sunday. I will listen to that and enjoy the heck out of it for 2 hours. And it kind of just washes the week away for me. And I have this song to thank for that.
These are the songs I keep singing. Back in 1991, I wasn't having any fun till my roommate said, "Come on and put a brand new record on." Had a baby.
All right, the third question was something I have attached to when I figured out who I wanted to be. Well, I still haven't figured out who I want to be, but I have a pretty good idea now. But I still like to think that I'm growing and I'm still trying to figure stuff out. I don't like to sit in a box. I kind of like to always, think that I can grow in ways, and I'm still not quite there of who I want to be in my head. But I always think we always have these visions of grandeur of ourselves that, I'm going to, from the time we're little kids, it's like, I want to be an astronaut. And, and then you get to be a teenager and you're like, I just want to be an adult. And then you get to be an adult and you go, I just want to be a kid again. And we always have these crazy ideas of who we want to be. I can tell you though, however, that there are a few times in my life that are defining moments that have led me or got me to where I am today. And the song I have chosen is Jimmy Eat World's 23. I was 24 when this song came out. I had a daughter 2 years previously, and the relationship between me and her mother fell apart, mostly due to me. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of bad choices then. I was also working at a company that, took advantage of me. I was kind of the victim of the never rise to the level of your expectation, fall to the level of training, except I was never, trained, but they expected me to be a lot more, which was really depressing me. I was really depressed, but I never really showed it. I never really thought it at the time. I just always just kept trying to push and be happy, but I was really in a dark place at the time. And one of the things that got me out of that funk was hearing this song that when the Futures album came out in 2004, it was just one of those albums that probably one of my all-time favorite albums ever. But this song in particular, when I heard it, just the way that the song is basically from the point of view, it's about a guy talking to, or it's like a relationship, and there's somebody telling the other partner, that, I got to go do these things, but, you'll always have me and you'll never know me. Like, nobody will know me like you do. I kind of took the song as more introspectively, like into my own head of like, I'm talking to myself, I guess. And I was just like, I have so much I want to do, and right now I'm not doing it. And I'm stuck in a place that I feel stuck at, and I need to make changes, or I'm never going to get out of this situation, or I'm never going to, grow into the person that at the time I thought I wanted to become. And I know, like I said, I made a lot of mistakes back then, and this song really kind of helped me realize that, maybe I went around it the wrong way, but it was the right thing to do. Just like, and at the time, also I had started my first band, with my good buddy Dane. We called it Ad Nauseum, and I started getting better at songwriting. I was writing better songs. We started playing out, and we were having crowds come and see us. It was just that feeling of like, I loved being on the stage and playing music. And that was something I learned back then too, is like, you got to shoot your shot. You got to do something for yourself, but you're not always going to be selfish, but sometimes you have to be, and maybe you'll get to where you want to be. And, if you don't, you're just going to live with your regrets and sit alone forever, or, sit alone in a situation where you're just depressed all the time, even if you're surrounded by people who love you. And I didn't want to be that. And so, I kind of went off and made some choices that, still resonate with me today, good and bad. And, this song really, that whole album, but this song in particular really got me going and got me through a lot of bad times and a lot of good times. I still listen to this song, 20 years later, and it still is one of my loudest heart songs. I will stop everything I'm doing and put this song every once in a while when I'm feeling down, or even when I'm feeling happy. And then there's the line that I always like to hold on to out of this song, and it's don't give away the end, the one thing that stays mine. And finally, what I hope my most meaningful achievement or contribution will be to the people in my life, and why. I don't really feel like I've had my greatest achievement yet. I think it's still in me. I haven't weaseled it out yet. I get stuck in these funks where I don't like to stay on one project for too long, so I'll bounce around between multiple things so I don't get bored of it. Like I'll try to pick at a book I've been writing for years, a little bit here and there. I'll try to write lyrics to songs that I've had in my back pocket for years. I will, start writing new music for no reason whatsoever other than to just get it out of my system. It is my therapy, so I tend to, bounce around a lot whatever I'm feeling at the time, or however I'm feeling. So I still feel like my greatest achievement has yet to come. However, if I was going to put it into perspective, my greatest achievement isn't so much my achievement, but it's my daughters. My two daughters are probably some of the most beautiful things in my life. Having kids is scary. I never wanted to have children. And when both of them came into my life, my world got flipped upside down in good and bad ways. But it's always been so, beneficial and good in the end. I would never trade any of it for anything. People always go, if you could go back in time, would you change things? I'm like, no, because I wouldn't have my kids, and I love my kids dearly. I would never want a world where I didn't have my children. And, my achievement is not so much mine, but their achievements and what they're going to contribute to the world. I'm so proud of who they're growing into be, and I look forward to seeing what they achieve and what they're going to contribute. And I think that would be one of my greatest achievements, in a way, I guess, in a twisted way. As far as like personal, in my personal head, achievements, I've written a bunch of songs that I'm really proud of, and I hope that other people will like them, because like I said, music is my therapy. I write songs for myself, and I don't really genuinely care whether people like them or not, but it's nice when people do like your song and come back and tell you, and it's like, oh, neat, you kind of got it. And but those are just trivial things that you can be proud of. But I mean, to me, it's only my weird personal thoughts, but I love my music. I will listen to myself all day long. Sometimes it's practice for me, sometimes so I remember my own lyrics or remember how to play the song because I forgot. But as far as contributions go, other contributions, it's more things I hope to do. Like I hope to contribute to my wife, every day, because I love her so much and she does so much for me all the time. And I just hope that I can contribute to her and be a good husband. And I hope that I can contribute a lot to help my daughters grow up to be, good people. I hope that I can contribute to my friends any chance I get. I genuinely love my friends. If I love you, and I will do anything for you if you ask. And, I just wish I could contribute more to strangers too. If more people in the world would just look out for each other and, stop being so negative about every little thing and try to be more positive and uplifting and helping each other out, the world would be a much better place. So if I could contribute anything, it would be that kind of stuff. So my heart song is kind of an opposite of like what most people would think is a good hope song, I guess, or a heart song. But this song means the world to me. It is one of my heart songs. I listen to this at least once a week. It is my wife's favorite song, and I never heard it before, and she showed it to me when we were dating, and it changed my perspective on the world immensely. And I was in a really bad funk and coming out of a really dark place still. And, she has been amazing, and I love her to death. And this always reminds me of when I met her, and even still to this day, how much I love just doing nothing with her all the time. And that song is Black Rainbow by St. Vincent.
There's a black rainbow above my house, match the curtains and the floors. Think I'm glass, I think I'm...
The song itself is kind of a downer. It's kind of about hopelessness and being a prisoner of your own expectations and thinking you should be somebody different. Everybody else expects you to be something different. At least you do in your own head sometimes. Like you feel like you have no voice when you do. And then you get so frustrated about everything that you just kind of want to burn everything to the ground and start over. The music, though, is what really gets me. It starts in this really beautiful melody that, where she's singing about the hopelessness, and then it kind of slowly turns into this like the sound of despair, I guess. And she sings more about getting frustrated and wanting to burn everything down. And then the song kind of like evolves into this chaotic, beautiful mess at the end that just explodes into this like fire that's like her burning everything down. And I take that so personally in my own life, because I like to burn things down a lot when I get frustrated, and I shouldn't. And this song always reminds me not to do those things. But I used it as my heart song for the end, because I want people to kind of like realize that in the end of the day, you can have that frustration and that despair and that hopelessness, but there's always a light, and it's just a matter of finding it, whether it's reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, reach out to your spouse, reach out to God. God will point you in the right direction, but you got to ask. And, you know, there's always a positive ending. You know, you don't always have to burn the world to get what you want. And I hope more people would understand that. I like music that's a little down. I write a lot of songs that seem very down and depressing, but it's uplifting to me. It makes me remember that, you know, no matter how dark it is now, you know, it can get better later. I'll leave you with this line from the song that I love so much. It goes, "Bird outside the kitchen, fighting his reflection. What's he gonna win when he wins?"
This is the song. These are my heart songs.
Thank you for joining us for Heart Songs, the podcast. If you'd like to be considered to be a guest in a future episode, please email the podcast at heartsongsthepodcast@gmail.com. See you next time.